Hello, good afternoon on this wonderful Sunday afternoon. And so today I am going to be actually not cooking, just making a little dip, a guacamole dip, Brenda style. So we'll call this Brenda's All Night Diner. Okay, so of course everybody make things differently. I like to take regular recipes and just kind of make them my own. So this is how I'm going to make my guacamole dip. Since I'm waiting for food to get done and I kind of want a snack, so I'm going to make my own guacamole dip. Come on, join me. Okay, so now I have everything already set up over here. This is my bowl. So I'm going to take, my door is open, so excuse me, something flies in or something because it's so hot. So I'm going to take this off here. And this is the bowl I'm going to use, regular size bowl. These are the ingredients. We already know. Avocados, we know we have to have avocados to make guacamole dip. My little half an onion. And also I'm going to use just a little pinch of a different type of onion because I don't want it to go spoil in my refrigerator, okay? I use cilantro. And I'm going to use, and always use a little lemon, not a lot. But you have to be careful with lemon because the more lemon you put, it will make it seem even saltier than it is. So I learned this a long time ago. It would be way too salty. So you put a little salt in it if you're going to use lemon in yours. You can also use lime as well. Okay? And of course you're going to use your cumin. And of course no salt. And this is a little different that I haven't done before. I'm going to use a friend of mine gave me some tomatoes out of her garden. A sister from my church. So I'm going to use yellow and red tomatoes. Cut a few of those in here. And I'm going to see the different consistency and see how I kind of like that. I think that's going to be pretty good. Okay, so come on. I'm going to start off with the with my avocados, of course. I'm going to start with those. And as I'm kind of cutting things up and stuff, I wanted to talk a little bit about. Now, I'm not into politics like some people are. I don't argue politics and get into who's the right candidate or all of that. But I wanted to make some comments. Let me push this over a little bit. Make some comments about some things that's going on. You know, we just found out that our president, the president of the United States, President Trump, that he actually has COVID. And I believe, if my understanding is correct, that his wife also has COVID. Now, the reason I'm going to talk a little bit about this as I do this is because I was a little disappointed with some of the comments that I've heard around Trump, and to the point where my daughter was telling me people are putting, I hope he and his wife dies and die Trump online. Now, I don't know what your political affiliation is, but I just, just think about how sad it is for someone to be wishing someone else to die. We should never do something, regardless of whether we like Trump or not, or whatever your political affiliation is. So I just usually just kind of try to scoop mine out at like this when I'm doing it. Usually when I'm doing mine, just kind of scoop it out like that. Anyway, whatever your political affiliation is, you don't want to wish someone death. If you are a Christian, you understand why. The Word of God tells us that if you dig a ditch for someone else, that you'll end up being the one in that ditch. That's why you want to be very careful with what your mouth says, what you let your tongue utter. It is not okay. We need to give respect to the President of the United States because he is the one over authority, and God has allowed him to be in this position, so we need to respect him as such. Even if we don't agree with everything he does or with things that he says, that's okay. But let's not wish our President of the United States, let's not wish him death or ill things, because a lot of times when we do that, all we're doing is bringing things back on ourselves. And that's a very real thing. I've seen it happen to a lot of people, doing things towards somebody else and it come back on them and their children. And actually, I don't know if you're a Bible reader or not, so that's how I do all of mine as such. So I just kind of cut like this, cut it all around, and then I just kind of scoop it out. Usually take it apart, kind of scoop it out, take the seed out, and then scoop it out, okay? So, it's okay, I'll get that later. So there's a scripture, there's a story about Mordecai, and how this person named Haman had built gallows to hang Mordecai and all 10 of his sons. He wanted him to be killed. Now this person was like, I guess you call kind of like, I guess you'd say, I think he was kind of like the right-hand man to the king at that time. And so he was already setting Mordecai and his family up to die. And so here's the sad turn in this story. He was in a position to do that. He was in the king's house. But what he didn't know was that one of the king's wives, Esther, everybody talks about Esther. One of the wives, Esther, that Esther was Mordecai. I think Mordecai like raised Esther, something like that. They were related. And so he didn't know that. And so what happened was that Esther ended up talking to the king, actually risking her life to talk to the king, because you had to, you couldn't just come before the king unless he allowed you. So she actually risked her life, went ahead, talked to the king about her people, who were the Israelites. And after she talked to him, that's what she asked. She told him what was going on and what Haman was going to do. And so Haman was so prideful that he was like excited about what he was going to do to Mordecai. And he thought when the king called him, he thought it was about the king doing something great for him. He thought, he was so sure that the king was getting ready to. It's another one. This is the way I do it, like this. Just kind of break it apart like this. So everybody pretty much knows how to do that piece. Anyway, so what he did was that he went before the king, and he thought the king was getting ready to reward him. The king told them to set up the big banquet and have all these things ready that was great and to honor someone. And Haman was so wanting to hurt Mordecai and his family, so wanting to hurt the Israelites, that actually what happened in this story, you can read it yourself. This is just what I understand what happened in the story. He was so wanting Mordecai and his people to die that he didn't think. And so he went before the king and found out that the king, that banquet was not for him. The banquet was for Mordecai, who he was trying to kill. And so because the king's wife, who Esther, we know the story of Esther, that's a whole other story. But so the king's wife went before the king, and now Haman, who wanted to make sure that Mordecai and his family was going to get killed, planning wickedness against him. And unfortunately what happened was that now it ended up to where Haman and all his sons, they were hanged on the gallows that he set up for somebody else. So let me say this to you, whoever you are, be careful about what you say. Because when you plan evil for anybody, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, a lot of times you end up in that same position or even worse. And here's the thing that I think people don't realize. It does not just affect you. Your mouth, the things you do toward other people, it also affects your children and your grandchildren. Because this man didn't think about his family when he was doing that. He didn't think, I better not wish somebody else wrong. I better not do that. But it came back on his own family. So now instead of Mordecai getting hanged, this poor guy, him and all his sons are hanged. And he thought he was getting ready to get honored. He was so big and bold and prideful, couldn't see anything. So I say this, and I use that in relationship to what's going on with Trump. Because a lot of people are wishing this man bad. You cannot wish bad for people. Even if people do bad things to you or say things or whatever. I mean, people are just people. Come on, guys. At one point in your life, you might have said something bad or negative to somebody or whatever. But don't wish people bad is what I'm saying. Because anytime something that's not godly, when people do something that's not godly, you must begin to understand that it's more about what's inside of them or what's not inside of them than it is about you. I know when somebody does something to you, it's hard to think, okay, well, it's really about something else. Actually, it's about who they are as a human being. People do evil when they have evilness in their heart and they're being guided by Satan more than they're being guided by God. The truth of the matter is that the Bible tells us that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. We wrestle against principalities. So now I'm going to show you guys. I have my avocados in here, okay, like so. I'm going to show you. So, of course, what I'm going to do is just mash these down. Take my masher, and all I'm doing right here is just mashing them down. So anyway, so we know we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. It's against principalities. And basically what that's really telling us is that, You don't do things evil against people. Even if they do evil or talk evil against you, don't go against them, because then you can mess up things for you and your own family. And you really don't want to do that. This masher is not as good as the other one that I had. Let me see if my... Sometimes I also use one of these because I had another type of masher. This one is okay, but to me it's not as... It doesn't mash up as good. And I've been waiting for weeks for these avocados to get kind of riper a little bit. It takes them a time to get soft, and I like mine to really be soft. But this time I didn't wait for them to get all the way soft. So at any rate, guys, just remember, don't be so quick to wish ill for other people, because it comes back on you. May not think it, but the reality, I've been alive long enough to know it kind of comes back on you. It comes back on your family, your grandkids. You just never know who it may come back on. And I would hate to see, just trying to get this a little soft. I would hate to see things happen to you, happen to your family, because you're shooting your mouth off and you're saying things negative and doing that about other people. Everybody has the right to have their opinion and whatever. So what? I mean, pray for people. The Bible said pray for those who deceitfully use you and say all manner of evil against you. So what? Let them say it. It doesn't hurt you. Words cannot hurt you. The only time words can hurt you is if you allow them to, the reality of it. So all I'm saying is just be careful about what you say, and be respectful of the president, because regardless of what people say, I heard about the debate and people were doing all this talking, he's still the president of the United States, and we still need to respect him as such. And so we need to be really careful about what we're wishing on people, because everybody, we prayed during our service today. We have an online service now, so we were praying for President Trump. Because like anybody else, if I heard yesterday, tomorrow you have, God forbid, you or anybody else have COVID, you would want me to pray for you. You wouldn't want me to say, oh, I hope he died, because he talked about me and my daughter last weekend. He did this and he said this and he don't have the right politics. You wouldn't want that. You would want me to pray for you. You want as many people as you could get to pray for you and to wish you well, not bad. So let's think about what we would want people to do by us if we were contracted COVID, and let's try to do the same with the President of the United States. And let's give him the respect that he is due, regardless of whether we agree with his politics or I don't care if people say, oh, he hates black people. I don't care if he hates black, yellow, orange, or green people. Doesn't mean anything to me. He doesn't exactly travel in my circle. So at any rate, we still need to be respectful to people. Okay, that's just so very, very important. Okay. Now, I'm going to try to get my onion real quick. If they're talking about, not really politics, this is just like human decency to me. Yeah, because you don't want somebody saying it to your family. You don't want somebody doing that to your family. So don't do anything to people that you don't want to be said or done to you, because it will come back on you. Because we do reap what it is we sow, right? We know that. I mean, if you're 15, 16, or even if you're kind of young, you may not have figured that one out yet, but in this lifetime, I promise you, we all reap what we sow. So we need to be careful what we say to people. Yeah, we need to be really careful. So let's try to be careful. Let's try to be respectful of our president. Let's give honor where honor is due. And let's not cause things to come on our own selves. Because here's something I noticed about COVID that's just the reality. I'm kind of messy when I do things, guys. So Brenda's all night diner. She's not prissy and all that. I might be a little messy as I cook. Things might be flying and all that. So that's just a part of cooking to me. So anyway, so we just want to be really, really careful how we talk and what we say and all of this, because it does come back sometime. And you like I say, treat others the way you want them to be treated. Say about others what you want them to be, what to be said about you. So I know, when these could be fine. I'm cutting up these onions. I'm kind of doing a fast version of it. You can see they're not really cut up as fine as I typically cut them up. So I'll try to get them a little finer, but a lot of times, because I'm the only one eating them, I don't go through a lot of stuff because I'm the only one here today. So that means I'm going to be the only one eating it. So it'll probably be in my refrigerator. And I end up freezing a lot of things because, I don't always eat everything. So I end up having to freeze it. So I'm going to dump these right here in my, as you can see, let me see if you can see it. Right there, I'm going to dump that in there with the avocados. Dump those in there. And I pulled out some cilantro already. I love cilantro, guys. I don't know about you guys. I can put cilantro in most things. That's how much I love it. A lot of people don't put it in things like I do, but I love cilantro. Okay, so now I'm going to do my other onion, the other onion that I have here. Different type of onion, but I don't want it to go bad. I usually just cut it so right here. And usually just kind of, I didn't even get my cutting board out, but that's okay. So I'm going to just cut this up really quickly. Cut the other onion up. And again, I added this. I don't normally add 2 types of onions. I did because I didn't want this to spoil in my refrigerator. And I have so many vegetables in my freezer right now that I'm freezing because I didn't want it to go bad. So I didn't want to put these in the freezer. So I put that like so. Okay, just throw that in there. Okay. Okay, and then my cumin, another cumin. I'm gonna open that up a little bit like so. I put a little cumin. Cumin is just a good flavor for it. Put that in there. Okay, and then my tomatoes, yellow tomatoes. Also, I'm wondering if I'm debating if I'm putting most of these yellow tomatoes in here now. I don't think I'm gonna do all of them, but I'm gonna put maybe a lot that I have left. Cause now I'm gonna go ahead and do all of them, guys. Just because I need to. I want to cook them. I don't want them to end up going bad. And I love tomatoes because I like the little seeds and stuff that come out of them. They really can flavor things crazy. I really like that. I'll use just a few red ones. But this one, yeah, I will use a lot of the yellow ones. Okay. So anyway, just remember how to treat people and stuff. And pray. I know it's hard and people will be mad at me and maybe even fuss me out. But pray for the President of the United States. Is what we should be doing right now. Pray for the President of the. So this. I'm gonna dump that. I'm gonna dump that in there. Okay, that's my cut up yellow tomatoes. I'm gonna dump that in there. And this is much more involved than most guacamoles. I don't think people put all this in guacamole thing. But I love it because when you do your own stuff, you can do what you want to do. Whatever you like, whatever you want to do, you can do whatever you want to do. That's why it's so amazing. So that's like. Yes, yummy. However I want to make it, I can do it. Okay, so I'm going to let's sew this in here. I'm going to just put maybe very few tomatoes in this one, red ones, because I have a lot of those in there. So I'm not going to do so many tomatoes in there, just a few in here. And I'm actually cutting on my top, which I normally don't do. Where's my knife? Okay. I just kind of want to do that quickly, okay. And one of the things I love about vegetables, when you're cooking something and vegetables are raw, you're going to get your full nutritional value. Raw vegetables really are the best way to eat them because you get all the value you need. And most of the time we cook we cook it out of the nutrition out of our food a lot of times, unfortunately. So anyway, so all this is of course raw. I'll eat it raw. It'll be great. Just cook it. And I'm not like crazy cutting it. I spend a lot of time to do this and put this in here. That's the red tomatoes, as you can see. And my little top that goes to my glass bowl. And that one. And again, my door is open, so you may see things coming in because my door is open just because I have, just so I can have better lighting. It comes from outside. I have another light in here too, which is why I didn't want to sweat. So now I'm going to take my salt. This is salt. I use sea salt. Okay, nothing, you can use whatever you want to. Remember, I can't put too much because I'm going to put a little lemon in here. I want to be really careful about that salt. Not putting too much salt in there. This is quite a bit of guacamole now. And last but certainly not least, my little lemon. I'm going to just squeeze some lemon. I'm taking, squeeze some lemon in here. Can we see that? There you go. I'm going to squeeze some of that lemon. You don't have to put, you really shouldn't, I'm putting a lot in there. Some things I know I like, so I just do it like that. And last but certainly not least, let's see what we're going to get. Put all this in here now, make sure this is all chopped up. See if I can bring this bowl around a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of mix this up. And so, there we go. Doesn't really look like your typical guacamole dip, because typically it's green and it just looks a little different. I'm going to put it down so I can kind of whip it up a little better, like that. do like that. A lot of vegetables in it for guacamole dips. Now, I like this. Some people don't. This is up to you. If you don't like raw vegetables, you don't like onions, then I wouldn't put that in there. But me, I like all the stuff I put in here. I like the taste of. I love the taste of cilantro. I love the taste of everything in here, really. And I'm an onion person. I love onion. Seriously, I love onion. And so that's why I can do this like this and keep my dip like this. And even though it's not going to be cooked or anything, I like the raw vegetables in it. It's not a problem for me. So this is from Brenda's All Night Diner. Make this smooth as I can. Okay, and so here it is. This is my guacamole. So anyway, remember to pray for the President of the United States. Remember that we don't want to bring things on ourselves. We don't want to bring things on our children. You know, we just want to be really careful with our mouths. And remember that everybody deserves the same. When we're sick especially, don't do that. Please don't do that, because you're bringing things on yourself, and I don't think you realize it. Don't go wishing a man death. That's not necessary. we we're more mature. We can be more mature than that. Pray for him. Pray for his family. Like you want people to be praying for you. So that was my little talk. And like I said, I don't get into politics, but this is not about politics. This is really about human decency. This is really about us realizing that there's not that we should whatever, because we don't look. Let me say something as I end here, and I'm going to show you my little This is my little guacamole dip. Oops. See if I can show you. There you go. Looks a little different than typical guacamole dip, but it's pretty delicious because I've not done it before. Okay, so what I just want to say. Okay, that's done. So I'm finished. Thank you very much for joining me. As I said, I just want you guys to. It is not really about Trump. It's not about religion and any of that. It's just about human decency. Okay, because things, I'm telling you, things will come back. All over my hand, of course. Things will come back on you. So please, guys, pray for Trump. Pray for his family. Okay, think about how you would want people to treat you. And most importantly, here's something let me tell you about COVID. COVID does not care if you are a millionaire. COVID doesn't care if you're a billionaire. COVID doesn't care if you're the president of the United States or if you're homeless on the street. COVID doesn't care if you look like me or if you are white or if you are whatever you are, or if you are Hispanic, if you're Asian. COVID does not care. COVID is an equal opportunist. It can get anybody. So nobody's exempt for it. So when we hear about somebody, guys, please just pray. Okay. I hope you guys have enjoyed my little, here it is, my little homemade guacamole dip. They look a little different than typical guacamole dip. But guys, if you try it, I'm telling you, it is amazing. Talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.